Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z and Corey Clubb, the podcast you're looking for. This is, yes.
For an entire generation, people have experienced Star Wars the only way it's been possible, on the TV screen. But if you've only seen it this way, you haven't seen it at all.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
We've been waiting for you.
The force is strong here, even stronger than the coffee.
At last! Where have you been?
Welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. Here are your hosts, Dan Z and Corey Clubb.
Hello and welcome to our Force Friday 2015 recap show. We've got a great show for you today with a look at Force Friday. Starting with a look at the StarWars.com unboxings featuring YouTube sensation Chris Pirillo, to our adventures finding the latest merchandise, and finally, a chat with Steve Sansweet as he reflects on his experiences. Joining me today is one of my very favorite Star Wars collectors, Mr. Jeff McGee.
Hi, Dan, and everybody else that's listening. You know, Force Friday was not as forceful for me as I would have hoped, but I did come away with some nice swag, so I can't really complain. And I'm very excited to be talking to Chris and Steve for the first time. I know you have spoken with Steve before, and Chris this is his first time on Coffee with Kenobi, so welcome, Chris, and I cannot wait to hear about all of his misadventures on StarWars.com.
Absolutely. Me too. So let's get started. Let's go to our little coffee table and chat with Mr. Chris Pirillo.
Hi, this is Chris Pirillo, a geek father, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z and Corey Clubb. This is the podcast you're looking for.
Our first guest on our Force Friday recap show is Chris Pirillo. Chris is a YouTube sensation, huge Star Wars fan, and most importantly, a geek father. Chris played an important role in the StarWars.com unboxing, and we are thrilled to speak with him about his experiences. Welcome to Coffee with Kenobi, Chris Pirillo.
Thank you. Although I usually don't drink coffee at this time of day, I would be happy to.
Absolutely. Well, you're quite the prolific collector, and I've had such a great time preparing for the show and just kind of getting to know you through our chats online and watching your amazing YouTube channels. But go ahead and tell us, if you would, about your history with Star Wars collecting.
You know, it goes all the way back to the very first item from within the Star Wars universe that I ever had, or still have, really. And it is a crown jewel of my collection. And I grew up in the 80s. I'm very, very old. I'm 40 years old. So I come from a slightly different generation, but I was very, very young at the time that Star Wars was released. I didn't get into the toys initially for whatever reason. It just wasn't a thing. My dad wasn't necessarily into toys, nor was my mom. Toy stores weren't necessarily prevalent, and I wouldn't say that the movie necessarily spurred either one of my parents to find toys to I guess complement the experience. It was different. It was a different era. There was an ad in a Sunday circular. And I used to look forward to Sunday circulars, but there was an ad for Star Wars figures, 99 cents. Now, I think what attracted me to this particular ad was it had a picture of an AT-AT driver, and I'm the type of person who says AT-AT, not AT-AT.
Absolutely.
Because that's correct.
I know. This is like one of those things like, is this going to offend people? But if you're offended because someone says AT-AT instead of AT-AT, you got problems.
Your life is easier than anybody else's I've ever met. If that's what
let me tell you. Exactly. So I want to say that it was in the ad at a store that's no longer around, Toys and More. And it struck me as, that looks kind of cool. And I can't even remember if we had seen Empire, but of course at that point Empire would have been released or would have been coming down the pike. So it was 99 cents. And, back in the day, I was lucky to have, 99 cents on hand to spend on anything. And of course that money would have gone to toys back then. So we went, after church or whatever it was. And I remember it was at an end cap, and there was it was just filled with Star Wars figures, right? I'm just like, wow, what's this? And, of course, I was a kid. I had toys, and, I liked the toys that I had. But for some reason, it was just the AT-AT driver that leaped out at me, and it was the design, in conjunction with the sculpt, the paint application. I didn't pay attention to too many of the details, but it was largely the design of the figure that really leapt out at me. And so for 99 cents, I had the AT-AT driver, and And throughout the rest of my childhood, pretty much pursued collecting the figures, which at that point weren't called vintage, but it would have been the vintage collection. And I made it all the way through to the Power of the Force figures, and had at one point every one of the vintage line that were released in the U.S., including Anakin Skywalker, which I had on a mail away. Took forever to come in.
Oh, yeah.
Yak Face wasn't even a reality to me back then. It was only until years later that I discovered that I didn't have the complete collection. And then I only knew about the Blue Snaggletooth because when I was younger, I mean, after the time that I started collecting, a friend had the Blue Snaggletooth, which I thought was a bootleg, which at that point I couldn't describe it as a bootleg, but I'm like, this is not an official Star Wars figure because it's not on the back of the card. It's impossible.
That's
it's
right.
not real, right? How did you get it? Where'd you get it? And it was I can't remember
And
the
he's
exact
tall,
story.
too.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was the thing. He was blue. He had boots. He was tall. I'm like, this is not real. How is this possible? I will never forget it. There are certain moments I'll never forget. My first Star Wars figure. I'll never forget the first time I saw Blue Snaggletooth. It drove me nuts. Because this is something that's haunted me throughout life, somewhat of a completist. So right now I'm like freaking out trying to, find the Captain Phasma 6-inch and the 7-inch die cast.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get the new mission series with the Unkar's Thugs and the BB-8.
Chris, you may as well be at a support group right now because Jeff and I are at the same boat.
I had a similar experience with Yak Face. I've told this story before on the show. My mother and I realized in about 1986 that I had all but 4 of the figures from the original line, Yak Face being one of them. So she took it upon herself to call Kenner to try to procure one for me. And we were told, we didn't actually make him, which was a lie. They just didn't release him in North America. But I guess that was an easier story. It sounds like Star Wars has been as big a part of your life as it has been mine, for as much of your life as it has been for mine. So it must have been a big thrill for you to have this video featured on StarWars.com. How did that unboxing video come about, and what was it like getting to do that?
I think for me, being a part of any kind of Star Wars experience is something that, you could always hope for. And when it happens, you're like, wow, beside yourself with joy, no matter how big or how small. So when given an opportunity to basically be a part of Force Friday officially, having followed the Force Friday countdown calendar that Hasbro's PR team was kind enough to send out, I knew what Force Friday was. And so to do an unboxing of anything at Lucasfilm there in San Francisco, if I had a schedule, I would have cleared it. Like, there's no question in my mind. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I hope to be able to parlay into, twice in a lifetime, third time in a lifetime. I don't think Star Wars is going away. I'm pretty sure they're going to keep doing toys, and I'm more than confident that everybody involved with Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, etc., had just as good a time as I did actually doing the unboxing and presentation in front of a live audience, as well as the Star Wars live tuned-in community. It came about for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is me being very, very vocal about loving to talk about Star Wars at any given moment. And this is difficult to explain to people who are not familiar too much with YouTube, and I'm not a YouTuber. I've been an online publisher of content since 1996. I've been around since a lot longer than YouTube has, and hopefully will be around for longer than YouTube is around. That's the hope.
Amen to that.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I was doing podcasts before podcast was a word. It was, I have no problem in embracing technology to help me. It's a means to an end. I don't look at tech as the end all be all. I don't look at it as a destination. I look at it as an enabler. And so a lot of the content that I might do is pivoted around that. And so I have a lot of freedom, even, in how I choose to use technology. And that is, connecting with people that I want to connect with and, having as much of a good life as I can. So part of my YouTube experience has just been sharing my interests, passions, ideals, experiences. Did I say experiences? Just basically anything that might be in my head or might be in my life, and I've always used it as an outlet. There is a term that's not really talked about too much, at least unless you're producing on YouTube, called MCN. That's a multi-channel network, and effectively you as an independent channel can belong to an MCN, and by and large an MCN is not incredibly functional for most people. but they have certain, I guess, values they could bring to the table for independent producers. I belong to Maker. Maker was acquired by Disney last year. And of course, the long story short, Disney, Star Wars, Disney, Maker. So they all kind of came together to create this experience, this Force Friday experience. So all the people who were involved with Force Friday weren't necessarily the people with my type of background. They just happened to belong to Maker as part of the MCN, Maker being a part of Disney and Lucasfilm. So everything was just kind of this. It's almost like the Dark Crystal, the Great Conjunction was at hand, and this is what happened. Luckily, I was able to be a part of it, and was honored to be able to do it at Lucasfilm there at San Francisco, which was the part that I would want to play out of anything. So that's kind of how it happened. I wouldn't say I lucked into it, but they knew very well. Maker knew well that I was very, very, very keen on Star Wars, and I told them outright. I said, "Hey, you ever get any opportunity?" And I even told them after, any other opportunity, I'm in. You just let me know. And so it was a perfect storm. And now I'm happy to say that the Star Wars folks know who I am.
Yes, you were very well received by our friends from Lucasfilm. It was a joy. The joy you had when you opened that Falcon. I sort of had. And people who listen to the show know how anti-spoiler I am. I couldn't be more anti-spoiler. So I was even reluctant to watch, but I could not keep my eyes wide knowing that I was going to see new merchandise from The Force Awakens. And I knew there was one thing coming up, and I thought, well, it's got to be the Falcon. How could it not be the Falcon? Did you get to pick what you got to unbox, or how'd that work?
No, it was. It would have been anything.
Did you flip out when you found out it was the Falcon?
No, I was. I got to tell you, my excitement was very, very attenuated, because as much as I was taking it all in. Like it's kind of like if you ever had like this moment in your life where you knew it was this amazing experience, but you just couldn't take it in because you were in it. And then after you're in it, then that the euphoria kind of, sets in. I'm not going to say it was a traumatic experience, quite the opposite, but you just kind of, you let it sink in. So
it's like getting married.
Yeah, kind of like, oh my God, that happened. So, and then there you are. So, I did not have a choice, and quite honestly, I'm fine with that. Someone had asked if, if I had a choice, what might it be? And I thought about it. I've always been a figure guy. I mean, honestly, from the AT-AT driver on, and I had the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon was my favorite vehicle back in the day with the vintage line. And my mom even remembered it very clearly. She said, "Oh yeah, you used to love that Falcon," and it's true, I did. Ruined it. I mean, of course, as we pretty much all did. But I took care of my figures. My figures, I was for the most part. I have a few of them. Of course, through the ravages of time, they've been separated and destroyed. And you got to remember, and this is difficult to explain to kids these days, you didn't have eBay and Amazon and great ways of connecting with other people. So to get a Death Star droid, you either had to get lucky enough to find them on the shelf and have the money to pay the $5 that the store may have been asking for, or you had to trade for them. And figure out what you were going to get to trade. So it was a job. I want to say it was collecting back in the day was a job. So a lot of my figures even back then weren't great, but I did pride myself in having at one point in time, minus Yak Face and Blue Snaggletooth, the collection. I'm hoping that with my daughter Jedi, I'll be able to get back into vintage collecting, if only for her. I say, hey, let's what if we grew this collection and for you, and get her a vintage collection over time. The thing that I probably would have wanted, now that you have that background with me being more interested in figures than vehicles, having loved the Falcon and thought it was great, I think I probably would have been happy to showcase a figure that hadn't been seen yet, hadn't necessarily, we've known about him, like Snoke, for instance. Like, sure. This major character, that's not a spoiler. We know the name, at least that I know. That's not a spoiler, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because if I ruined it, oh my God, because I'm the same way. I'm not anymore someone who likes spoilers. Yeah, great. No.
I don't
think
good.
It was a spoiler. Well, because they had Andy Serkis in his little his outfit, right? Like with Lupita, they had in the magazine. I think it was Variety Fair.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't think it was a spoiler. But it would have been really cool to basically showcase the design of a character that had not been seen before. Now that would have been pretty neat. Not to say that it was any less neat than what I got to do.
Sure.
But when I basically I came in the day before, and was sitting there at Lucasfilm in this little conference room. We all kind of gathered around. I had a chance to speak with one of the designers who used to work for Hasbro, now works for Lucasfilm, and he walked me through the various features of the Falcon. And basically where my head was yes, oh my God, I'm looking at this, I'm touching this. This is like my favorite scale types of figures that I'm holding on to. This 3 3/4 inch or 3.75 inch scale. That's my scale. So just going through it was more perfunctory, knowing that I had to be able to showcase this, and that was my job, right? And why I was there was, yes, to take it all in and to be myself, but at the same time, I had a certain responsibility. So sure. I was very intent on listening to the product design guy, why they went through certain procedures. He was walking me through different aspects of this, and that gave me enough context because I didn't have that much time beyond the hour or so that I spent with the toy until the next day when I was unboxing it. So I had to effectively remember everything. Didn't need to take notes. I don't work that way. They may have been worried. I'm like, no, I'm good. Just give me a little bit. I'm good. And like I said, it was, I think if it was a performance, I think I performed well enough, or at least I can tell you it was to the best of my abilities. But I didn't have to do much. Honestly, the Falcon kind of, it sold itself. Although I did have the funny thing I think that happened was afterwards, and this happened from a couple other collectors saying, they weren't sure about the Falcon, but I pretty much sold them on it. I had a few Lucasfilm employees tell me that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm like, really?
I knew that when Force Friday hit, I wanted to get as many of the 3 3/4 inch figures as I could, and I knew, when I saw the unboxing of Poe Dameron's X-Wing, I thought, okay, I have to buy that, and then Target had the $25 off, so that was a done deal.
Oh yeah,
but because of you, the Falcon is my favorite ship easily, but because of you, I've been looking for the Falcon everywhere. I still can't.
No. It's coming. I mean, it'll be a hot seller.
Did they give you that one?
No, that's the thing is, I don't know. I wouldn't fault them. I did ask. I said, at the beginning, I said, this is, I would love any kind of toys you can pass along. That'd be great. I didn't get anything. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just grateful for the experience. But I came this close, and I should have done it, but I came this close to asking for the BB-8. Out of all the figures,
sure.
I tend to be, as far as figures go, across the board. Star Wars is my fandom. I mentioned my scale, but I tend to like robots, monsters, aliens, cyborgs, anything that doesn't have a human likeness. Because to me, it's that there's a term that's used with technology, a chasm, the uncanny valley.
Right.
There's an uncanny valley. And I look at like the sculpt of, let's say, Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron in the 3 3/4 inch scale. And I'm like, this is Oscar Isaac? I'm like, really? I've got Han Solo that looks like Tim Allen. I'm like, this just does not do it for me. But right. I think there's a lot more freedom with stylizing a helmet, without a human likeness, a lot more freedom in the character or the toy than anything. So I tend to skew that direction. Sure. So of the three, it wouldn't have been Chewbacca or even Finn. It would have been BB-8 that I would have wanted to hold on to.
Who is, of course, incredibly popular right now beyond belief. And I see your coffee's getting low, so we'll jump to we'll get into the end of our little discussion, unfortunately. But I am curious, and I know that Jeff and I have very strong opinions on this as well. But what are some of the highlights of the Force Friday merchandise for you?
I'd say it's all about the figures. I'm still chasing them. I think it was a lot of fun to hang out with a few other local collectors up here in the Seattle area. We've got a few, Star Wars content community creators like Forlomcus, Jedi Business. Gus Lopez is up here. We've also got Star Geek, who does stuff on YouTube. There's a few of us up here, and so it's really neat to hang out with them once a month or so, and to have experienced Force Friday with other people. I think was just as much of a thrill. I honestly, that first night I got lucky to get Flame Trooper on the Armor Up series, and then a Darth Vader, the Lego set, the figure builder, and then the Hero Masters, and then of course the 48-inch Vader, because Vader's my chase character, he's my focus. Yeah. But to me, I think overarching my wants has always been around figures. So now I have to buy the vehicles to get the unique figures, which frustrates me, but
which is kind of a new thing for Star Wars, really.
Yeah, I mean, because back in the day, it just wasn't that way.
That was a G.I. Joe.
Figures sold separately.
Big time.
That's right.
Big time. Yeah, and I made sure I pointed that out in the unboxing. I said, look, action figures are included, because it used to be action figures not included, batteries sold separately.
Right.
So, it's a radical departure, but listen, you can't, first world problems. That's right. I got to buy the vehicle, I'll take it.
Well, I think the new the speeders are gorgeous. Of course, Ray's speeder is really well known ever since Black Friday last year. But as I mentioned before, I think that Poe Dameron's X-Wing is absolutely exquisite. And there's been a little bit of slack online about how the toy is designed, and I personally think it's very well built. Yes, the harpoons or the X-foils are a little bendy, but don't bend them. And they won't.
Okay, so here's my feeling on that, and yeah. I don't think there's a wrong way to be a fan. I don't think there's a wrong way to be a collector. I don't think there's a wrong way to enjoy what it is you enjoy. I'm a huge proponent for 5 POA, and I know this is like nails on a chalkboard for many collectors, but it's just, number one, I grew up in vintage era, so
yes,
it just reminds me of that. And it's not, I never was concerned, even though I had G.I. Joe stuff, I never, and figures, and I loved them, I never really felt like I was wanting. I would have appreciated, but there's just something about that it just increases playability. Some of my original AT-AT driver still stands, and I don't know if I could say the same thing if it was a multi-point of articulation figure back in the day.
Right.
So it stands the test of time.
Articulation makes for a better sculpt too.
Right. Yeah. And so there, you always have trade-offs, and for me, the winning combo is not articulation; it's the sculpt primarily, and then the paint application secondarily. For me, not even the accessories; it's just the figure. I couldn't even tell you what my accessories are, but everyone's different. Everyone's different.
So do you like that new X-Wing? Have you?
I've got it in the box. I've honestly been trickling through all the figures and all the sets, because I don't have all of them. But I just today, as a matter of fact, I opened a Captain Phasma, which I was thrilled to finally have and to open, and they just love it.
I got her on Force Friday. I was pretty lucky. I got
real lucky.
I got all the ones I wanted on Force Friday.
Oh man, I didn't even come close.
Yeah, me either.
I didn't even come close.
It looks like everybody on my Facebook feed got all the figures they wanted, and I only found 2.
Well, Target was weird because we lined up and we were the first ones there, and then they had it in 2 places, and they told me, stay at this line, this is where the figures are, and it was the battle pack things, but the regular just 3 3/4 inch were on the other end of the store, and once I realized that, they were pretty well picked through, but fortunately we had some friends who grabbed extras for us.
Wow, yeah.
And that's like you're saying, that when you get that Star Wars community, as we all know so well, that's what does it.
And that's honestly, it's saving my bacon now, because I put out there, I'm looking for a couple of the mission series.
Oh, isn't that the best?
Yeah, and people are fine. I mean, it hasn't happened in the past couple of days, so I have to remind everybody every day, hey, I'm still looking for this set if you see it, or this mission series. And I've had I've been able to pick up a couple of them that way and just pay by way of online PayPal, as they're shipped to me, and have been fine with that, as long as I find people who are actively looking for the things or see them.
Exactly.
Well, Chris,
you've got 2 more people that are here to help you too. And
exactly, cool. and vice versa. Chris, I know you mentioned having your YouTube channel. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've got going on with? You have more than one channel, correct?
Yeah, I do, which is
Vader
stupid.
Fun.
Well, it's great, but at the same time, it's stupid because it confuses people. It's great because I need YouTube categorizes by content, not by anything else, not by person. So I would love to flood everything into one channel, but if that was the case, I'd end up with potentially on one given day 6 videos in the channel, which is just it's a flood.
Your intro video is pretty good though. It's pretty specific.
For the most part, I in fact I probably even have to get around to redoing it. I've got one YouTube channel that is the primary one that most people know about, and that's just Chris Pirillo, and it's effectively a daily vlog and a lot of Star Wars stuff in that. And it's just, the daily life, as we live it, and, are kind of going through different experiences. And then I've also put other edited videos into that YouTube channel. Like today I posted the Windows 10 review, 7 things I do not like, after last week posting 7 things that I do like about Windows 10. So it's difficult to be all things to all people, and all I can be is me. So that channel is kind of a catch-all. But then I also have a separate YouTube channel for more of the long-form live content. So if I'm hanging out with someone and talking for an hour or two about various things, it'll go into a separate channel, because I'm some people want to watch the live stuff, other people not so much. But now you've got options like Periscope and Facebook mentions if you're verified. You've got a lot of options to kind of spread the word about, what it is that you want to do.
Right. So basically, and we're going to put this in our show notes, of course, but if you go to YouTube and look up Locker Gnome, you're in good shape. For
the most part, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I tell people that might be looking for me, I'm on about every single social platform. Twitter is seemingly a catch-all.
Mm-hmm. True, very true. Well, you certainly, listeners, probably everyone who's listening already knows all about the wonderful things you're doing, but the enthusiasm and the knowledge and the fact that you have an English education background is very close to my heart as well. So right on, my friend.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been teaching for 10 years, and I love it. Here's the thing, though. Since you're on Coffee with Kenobi, is your first time, we've got 5 questions that we ask each of our guests, very similar to the Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton. And we've got to throw them your way, because I'm excited to see what you have in common with all of us. And we'll start with the first one, of course. What is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Empire.
There you go.
Didn't even have to think about
Sorry.
What's wrong with that?
The Empire Strikes Back. I have to be specific, because I wonder if the word Empire is going to come up at some point in the future with another one. We'll see. One can hope.
Is there any particular reason that Empire speaks to you more than any of the others?
I think I'll go back to the action figure. I mean, it was all about the toys. And even when Jedi came out, the thing I looked forward to most was the new figures. I know that sounds crazy, but I just kept thinking,
too.
I can't
Luke
wait.
Skywalker black outfit, yeah.
Yeah, forget Luke. I mean, think about Jabba's character, the Jabba Palace characters, everything. I just, it was always the figures for me. I know it sounds so crazy.
No, you're talking to basically your clones right now.
Right.
So we understand.
I think Empire, there's just something about it that was it was so deep with the characters that, it's just, it wasn't a perfect movie. And I think that's what made it work so well. And everything didn't get wrapped up in a bow. And, a nice little package. And I think, that left me wanting, more, obviously, with Han Solo going off, towards the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. So I don't know. There's just something about it. I think that, but I'm an autumn kind of guy, a fall kind of guy, not a downer necessarily, but, drab days, aren't so drab for me. So maybe that's why I like Empire.
Rainy days and Mondays. So yeah. I have a feeling I know the answer to this next question based on something you said earlier, but who would you say is your favorite character from the saga?
Oh, boy. Well, as a kid, I always played Han Solo. And I think I liked Han Solo. Well, I mean, I had 2 younger brothers. One usually played Luke, and the other one played Lando. That was just how it went. That's how it was. And I don't know. I don't know why I liked Han Solo. He was I just like his bitiness. He's very sarcastic, very down to earth, very shoot from the hip, so to speak. And he shoots first. Back then, it wasn't a controversy. So I think I almost want to say Han Solo, was the one I played. I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. It wasn't Darth Vader. I didn't start collecting Darth Vader until I was an adult.
So that was very cool. What is your favorite line of dialogue or film moment?
Oh man, God, there's so many. So many. God, I'm thinking back through. Why are you doing this to me?
We do it to everyone.
It's so hard.
Well, what do you hear? Our next one, we asked Steve Sansweet the next one. So what do you get to the next one? But go ahead.
Oh man, I remember. I want to say it's the first time I saw Jabba. I think that was just a pivotal. I mean, not a pivotal, but I remember just the feeling like, whoa. I just remember seeing him on screen for the first time, seeing Jedi in the theaters. I think that was I don't know if that was a favorite line, dialogue though. But I think that in terms of a moment, I remember that being kind of a not a shock, but like a thrill.
Oh, it was a great.
It was, yeah. That was the first time we'd seen anything like that.
Yeah, like whoa, yeah.
So our next question is: if you collect, and I think we all know that you do, what is your favorite collectible in your collection?
I'm going to go to the first Star Wars figure. I mean, you can't. I mean, there's a lot of good collectibles. Don't get me wrong. In some of, but like I was explaining, and I can't remember if I said this in the live stream with the Force Friday thing on the Star Wars stream. Sorry, can you hear Jedi screaming in the background?
That's right. Yeah, it adds to the ambiance.
She just turned 1 yesterday, so she's in a good mood.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've said before about the AT-AT driver, it's not the value, it's not how much it costs, not how much it's worth, it's the emotional attachment I have to it. And for me, collectibles
there's actually more value in that.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's like it's I get why certain collectibles are worth more than others. But to me, it's like what I'm seeing with scalpers right now on eBay. Like I'm looking for these sets or these figures, and I'm like, they want $80 for a Captain Phasma diecast. I'm like, I'll just I'll wait, and maybe get for $25, or maybe someone will find it, and I'll pay them for it. But I'm not going to pay scalpers prices because it's not. I mean, I want one, but I'm not. I don't want it. It's not worth it. I don't care how collectible it is. It's not worth it, and it could be worth 10 times as much. It's still never going to be as valuable to me. And I think that's as much of a value for a collectible as that emotional attachment you have to the product, which, by the way, is how I explain it in unboxing. And unboxing isn't just showcasing the product. It's talking through the experience of the product and the box and what's in it and the story around it. And that emotional connection, if you have an emotional connection around a product, that to me that's it. Because I'm surrounded by some AT-AT drivers and Darth Vaders and troopers and what have you, and I love them all. But I think the biggest treasure was the thing that pulled me in, that I still have.
Very cool. So, what particular messages or themes about the Star Wars saga resonate or speak to you?
Oh man, I couldn't tell you. I think it was just knowing that this story existed. And I realize this is so difficult to explain. I think people of our generation might know and understand. We didn't have a lot. I mean, and I don't mean that in a material way. I'm talking in terms of media, in terms of story. I would be thrilled when I walked into a store and identified with something. And there was just something about Star Wars that was just cool. Space and spaceships and aliens and creatures and friends and camaraderie and I just liked thinking that actually existed somewhere, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Like it was possible. Like you couldn't tell me that wasn't possible. It was possible. And I believe that, that was something that definitely resonated and even to this day. But today, I mean, we want to talk about just the opposite. I mean, you don't have a scarcity. There's a lot of stories to share. There's a lot of things to pay attention to. So I have the same feeling, but I'm surrounded with different constructs. Whereas there used to be the scarcity playing into how we experience life. Now it's just the opposite. And that's, again, it's very, very difficult to explain. It'll be insanely difficult to explain this to Jedi when she's old enough, to explain that you at one point we lived without the internet, but she's going to grow up in that, and I'm lucky enough to be savvy enough with it that it's a part of my life and it's a part of my culture too now. But I think it was just there weren't other stories that I felt emotionally connected to for one reason or another, and I couldn't tell you why. And I'm going to go back to that toy. I think the toy is the thing that did it for me. I really do, because I'd seen sci-fi before, didn't get into it. It was incredibly campy, incredibly cheesy. Enjoyed it, but it just, I don't know. There was just something very powerful about what Star Wars was, from Star Wars to Empire to and I remember bits and pieces of seeing them in the theaters because I was so young. all the way through Return of the Jedi, and then thinking that it was done and being very, 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 very sad about that.
But we have more coming. So thank
the
you.
Opposite problem.
Exactly. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Force Friday. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you and pick your brain about their own collection?
Twitter is probably the best way at this stage. It's kind of become the world's blog. Facebook, you can't count on people seeing it. YouTube comments get buried among trash. So Twitter is typically the best way for me to connect with others. I'm usually on Twitter 24/7.
And you're just at Chris Pirillo, correct?
Yep, at Chris Pirillo. It's a verified account, so you can't miss me.
And we will put a link to that in our show notes, as well as your YouTube channel and all the great things you're doing. Chris, it's been a joy and a pleasure having you on Coffee with Kenobi. We would certainly love to have you on again in the future.
For sure. I'll talk about this stuff anytime.
All right. Thanks, man. Thank you so much, and have a great night.
Absolutely.
So here in a few minutes, we'll hear about Dan and Corey's adventures on Force Friday. But since I wasn't able to capture any of mine live because I didn't have any friends to go with me, I have plenty of friends who would have gone with me, but they all have lives and had to go to work the next morning. So I ended up going by myself, and I ended up going to a Target over in Frisco, Texas. I was staying at my brother's house in Plano, which they're all suburbs of Dallas. And Taylor would have gone with me, but again, he's got a kid and he has a job, and he's a responsible adult. But
hey, I have all those things. I went.
Well, okay. Taylor's also very cheap, and so he doesn't spend money on anything. And he also lives in Denton, which is out.
And he'd break it anyway.
Exactly. But so as a result of that, we ended up having did a recording session for Talking Toys that night. So I didn't get to leave until about 11. So I got there about 11:30, and I was probably 50th in line. There were probably 50 or 60 people ahead of me. And I got to say, this Target, I complimented the manager on the way out because it was the most well-run event like this I've ever seen in my life. They had us all in 5 different rows, and they let us all go one at a time, and they limited everyone to 2 of any item the first time through. They said, everybody just get 2 of each item, or of everything you want. You're allowed to get 2, and then once everybody has a chance to go through, everybody else, it'll be just sort of a free-for-all after that. You can get whatever else you want, which I thought was great because that gives you 1 to open, 1 to keep, or if you're getting 1 for a friend, what have you. But, it gave those of us at the end of the line, because I would say I was about the last 25% of the line. And so by the time I got to go through, things were pretty well picked over, but I was able to get a few things. I was really hoping to get a lot of the figures. I was only able to get 2. I got a Stormtrooper and a Poe Dameron with the flight suit on, in his flight suit. Mm. But the one vehicle that I was really hoping to get my hands on, I did, which was Ray's Speeder. Love that thing. And I posted a video on Facebook of me playing with it. I was just really surprised at how well put together it was because, I talked before about how I did not care for any of the vehicles from episode 1, 2, and 3 from the prequels. Just didn't really like the aesthetics, but I love the aesthetics and the designs of these ships. So I was able to get that, as well as the Imperial Snowspeeder, which comes with a Snow Trooper, which is, my favorite Stormtrooper. And I love the Macquarie influence on that. And I've got video of it as well. So I was able to pick up those 4 items. I got the Stormtrooper Micro Machine head, which I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed in because you only got 1 figure and 1 ship. And you used to get at least 3 or 4 figures. It was like a Lego set, really. You'd get 3 or 4, mini figures and 1 or 2 ships to play with in the play set. But now they're selling all of those separately. So, whatever. It's fine. It's going to sit on my shelf in its closed form anyway, and that looks great. So I won't complain too much.
Sure.
But other than that, I also picked up a blind package Micro Machine, which was the X-Wing fighter. But the wings were closed. They were not in attack formation. I would have preferred they be in attack formation. And then I also got a couple of the die-cast ships. I got Luke Skywalker's land speeder.
Titanium series, is that what you're
Titanium
talking about?
series, yes. And the Millennium Falcon with the square dish, the rectangular dish. And there was one other.
Was it the speeder? Ray's Speeder?
Yes, Ray's Speeder. That was it.
Cool.
And I just
I'm here to help.
Thank you. Well, and I love that Ray's Speeder, they basically just took Luke's land speeder and flipped it up on its side. The more I look at it, the more I realize that's what they did. But again,
Might be a metaphor there.
It could be turning everything on its head. But it was just a lot of fun because I was in line with people that I didn't know, but we had fun cutting up and making jokes with one another. And I had one person complimented me on my shirt. It was one of the employees. And that was the other thing is these Target employees were there after their shift is over. Most of them were probably not Star Wars fans, but they were as polite and accommodating as could be. I cannot express enough how impressed I was with the way this was all handled.
Right. That's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. And you, and of course, you and I and Corey were texting back and forth, just kind of seeing how you were doing. You were sending us pictures. We were sending you pictures. It was fun. We almost had it worked out that you were going to drive to Illinois. We were all going to experience it together. But
I know
it didn't happen for Force Awakens. But who knows what the future will hold?
Yes. For The Force Takes a Nap, maybe it will happen.
That's right. Speaking
I've decided
of that,
that's what episode 8 is going to be.
Well, speaking of that, when you hear these next couple of segments of me and Corey's adventures, you may think that we desperately need to take a nap. So hopefully we'll still have some entertainment and informational value for you. So we're going to go to that and then have a very special interview with Mr. Steve Sansweet.
Yay!
Here we are. This is our very first premiere Periscope. Welcome. This is Coffee with Kenobi, which you obviously know. You're following us on the Twitter feed. Corey and I and Tom are here, and we are ready. We are excited for Force Friday. We were actually first in line, which I didn't really expect that. But
we had to run here to get
yeah, there's obviously a bar here because we can't get in yet, and we're okay with that because we can kind of build the excitement. But what do you think, man?
It's a good time, man. So far it's been, a good 5 minutes, and we made some jokes, made some friends, so it's a good time.
Yeah, well, tell me, as we're driving over here, what you were telling me in the car. Because we are, of course, similar, but we have very different ideas about Force Friday. How would you describe your emotion right now?
Oh, I'm fine now that I'm here, but it's more of like that Black Friday feel as far as, getting in line and getting excited to, making a list of what you want to get. And we talked
and checking it twice?
Look close to that, yeah.
You were nervous. Just say it. You were nervous.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to it, but... and
that's okay.
It's the first time for me, so this is your second time, third time?
Third.
Okay.
Yeah, it's obviously, we did this for episode 1, did it for episode 3, and now, here we are, Force Friday, and you can just kind of see in the background, everybody's unpacking, getting stuff ready.
Working hard.
Yes.
Working hard back there.
Licking our lips and getting ready to roll. Pretty exciting stuff. So tweet to us and let us know what you think. Send us some selfies with what you've got going on. Of course, be sure to check out Topps Digital, sponsors of Coffee with Kenobi, so you can find the exclusive Force Friday cards. We have seen these cards.
Yeah. They're awesome. There's something that you haven't seen yet, so it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to get online and check those out as well as the day continues. We're counting down. We're about 10 minutes in now, and we got a long time to chill and kind of hang out, but throughout the night we'll have some fun.
Yeah, and we may be harassing you on this feed a lot because we've got a little bit of time to wait.
Yeah.
So keep tuning in. We'll see what's going on. Back again because this is a lot of fun to do this kind of thing. We're here at Force Friday, and we've met some new friends, of course, already because that's one of the great things about Star Wars. It brings people together. And we got Periscope going, and that's really exciting. And go ahead and tell us your name and a little bit about your collection.
My name's Anthony Jones, and I'm a huge Funko Pop collector. Already have 250 plus in my collection, and here to get all the Force Friday Funko Pops that are being released tonight.
Very good. And I don't know about you, but we're very anti-spoiler people. However, you can't help but see, especially with the unboxing and things like that. Did you watch the unboxing on the live stream?
I did watch a few of them that were out there for different items as they were coming online throughout the day. And not to spoil anything, but here definitely for the Target exclusive that they will be having here.
Oh.
So that's one of the big ones to get us here so early tonight.
You know what? I think, why don't you tell us live? This is an exclusive. What is the Funko Target exclusive?
The Funko exclusive for Target is going to be the Kylo Ren with his hood down, and it's going to be a variant of the one that's going to be widely distributed with his hood up. So you're going to be able to see his whole helmet in this one. So
well done. And it looks like, based on the line so far, the odds are pretty good that you're going to get that. Yeah. Right. That's the line, which is cool. There he is. You don't have to be that far down.
That's the event.
Yeah. And then you can see everything that's going on right here. Right. And we are new to Periscope, so we apologize. Corey, are people asking us questions?
Not yet. It says love the line.
Oh, good. Yeah. Is my wife taunting me? Hi, Deanna. Love you.
Hi, Deanna.
He doesn't love you, I do.
No.
Well, if he does, I don't blame him. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about your history as a collector.
I actually started just over a year ago. One of my coworkers actually got me into it. He brought into work one of the first Deadpool Funko Pops, and Deadpool was a favorite character of mine from Marvel. And I was like, "What is this thing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a Funko Pop. It's really cool." And so I went to the mall and saw they had like a small display on a store that had like maybe like 6 or 7. There was before they really kind of blew up on the scene of being really popular. And so I went in there and picked up a couple, and slowly they just started multiplying till now it's taken on a room of itself in my house.
Right. So have you always been just about Funko with Star Wars, or do you have other Star Wars things?
I grew up watching Star Wars and had some of the original action figures growing up and really fell in love with the movies. And as I've grown older, I've matured and started, watching more of the director's cuts and all of that. And I mean, the original ones, they weren't as cleanly cut if you ever watched the original version. So this one, now that they've come out with like the steel books are coming out soon, I'm looking forward to getting those. And now it's just trying to get a whole new generation onto the Force and get that so the next generation's all for it.
Which is, of course, the genius of what Lucas does, because he continually reinvents the saga for new audiences. And now it's strictly Disney. But obviously Disney knows what they're doing, because the fever around this is pretty exciting. Why don't we bring in someone else who is familiar to Coffee with Kenobi fans. He was with us at Indiana Comic-Con. He joined us on Rebels Reactions one time. Mr. Tom Gross. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. What brings you here?
I was going to pick up some toilet paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's what I thought he was going to say. And did you find Star Wars toilet paper? And where did you use it? Is that too much?
I don't know that we want to go there. Yeah, you've already let it out.
It's after 10.
No, I'm here obviously for the Star Wars excitement. This is the first time I've done this. You guys are old pros, and I've never done Force Friday before, so I'm really excited about this.
It's awesome. What's the number one thing you're looking for to get?
Well, what's really interesting is I'm really not here to buy stuff for me. I'm here to buy stuff for my kids.
You're a better dad than I am.
But no, my girls are really, really falling in love with BB-8 from the trailers and everything else we've seen. So I'm hoping to find something BB-8-ish tonight.
Right. Well, remember as we've said before, Tom and I worked together at the high school, and remember when you saw the video for the BB-8 sample?
Yeah, which one? Which one are you talking about?
Just how it works.
I think it's amazing that this is a real thing that can actually function.
Right.
And I remember watching the Star Wars celebration when you guys were out there, and when that rolled out on the stage, it was just, I'm sure being there was amazing, but being in my hotel room that I was in that day, I fell out of my chair that I couldn't believe that this robot, this droid was real.
It was cool. All right, Corey, your turn.
What am I going to do? Hello, I'm by myself right now, and there's more folks that lined up here. The line's getting extra longer now. How you doing? Of course, they're getting work back behind us here. They're getting going on everything. They're cleaning up some of the boxes and some of the merchandise and stuff. Anybody else like to get on? Ask some questions? Nope. You don't have to. So we're going to be probably doing some more of these throughout the night just to have fun and hang out in the line here. So we'll see you guys later.
It is T-minus 39 minutes and counting till we're able to check out everything that's going on here at Force Friday here at Target in Illinois, Central Illinois. And we are getting more and more excited with each moment as they unbox things and put things on the shelves. You can just sort of see what's going on. And Corey, what have you spotted since we were last chatting?
They got looks like some coffee mugs of all things, possibly. Hey. My eyesight isn't that great, but some fun things we haven't seen yet come out, and they've been unboxing more things. Got more stuff back there on racks and boxes and things, but good stuff.
Yeah, and I've said this before, but the bikes look crazy awesome, don't they, Tom?
Yeah, I love those bikes. They got the...
What kind is that? I'm not a bike aficionado like yourself.
Well, I don't know that there's... I don't know the official name, but a lot of us in the bicycling community call them the fat tire bikes. They're great on snow and kind of muddy areas. Not good for long distance.
So like Hoth or Dagobah, these are the bikes you want. These are the bikes you're looking for?
This is the kind of bike you'd be looking for Hoth or Dagobah, absolutely.
Sounds good. Now, let's talk about this Wookiee they're giving away. Yeah, but he looks like Chewie has a dog, and the dog's head got stung by an entire beehive.
Maybe.
Doesn't
yeah.
it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little odd, but hey, there's only, how many did we say that they have that they're giving away?
209, I think is
only
right.
209, and that's probably 209 more than I actually want. And we'll see. Oh, here it is. Looks like they have 2 of them. Interesting. So let's look around and see what else we see. What other people are interested in looking at. Do you guys want to talk on Coffee with Kenobi? What are you looking for here?
BB-8.
BB-8. What's so special about BB-8 for you?
It looks really cool.
It does. Did you see the display on Good Morning America today about it?
Yeah, I saw the tweet on it, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty spectacular. Are you looking for the one you control with your iPhone?
Yes. The nicer one.
It is the nice one. It looks really cool. And we're trying to peek around to see if you can find it. And they're feverishly building everything, so hard to say. And what brings you here? Your dad drug you out here? You're a Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a prudent thing to do. Absolutely. Good deal. What are you going to try to get? You're not much of a microphone person, are you? Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, you're the one. Okay, good deal. And now, since we're here, when we started, there was probably about 2 or 3 of us, but now there's about 25 or 30. Yeah. Do you want to be on Coffee with Kenobi and talk about what you're interested in?
This
No?
one down here, she's after
No?
it.
Okay. All right, all right. So what is everybody looking for down here for The Force Awakens? Nothing? Legos, yeah, and they are just around the corner right here. Very good. What about you guys? We're here from Coffee with Kenobi. What are you guys looking forward to?
Black Series.
The 6
6
inch?
inches.
Yeah. What's your name? Where are you from?
Caleb. I'm from Peoria.
Peoria. What about you, sir?
Ron from Peoria.
Peoria also? Are you
Black Series.
Black
Yep.
Series, yeah. What have you been looking at all the spoilers and things like that about as far as what's out there to get?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't even know, honestly, what's in the line for the Black Series 6 inch. How many figures?
Six this round, yeah.
So basically Finn and Poe, and is BB-8 Black Series?
He's a packaged with Ray.
Ah, okay. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. All right, well, we're going to see. What are you guys looking forward to?
The book, Aftermath.
Yes. Yeah, got that today. It's pretty awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And then the X-Wing new starter core pack with all the good stuff from Episode 7.
Did you watch the unboxing?
I didn't watch the unboxing, no.
Right.
Did you?
Yes, I watched a little bit of it in between when I was doing my day job, right? But the black and orange on it is pretty slick.
Yeah.
Pretty slick. Pretty
I
cool.
saw the Lego X-Wing for Poe. It looks really cool. So that paint job is nice.
Yeah, it's pretty gorgeous. I wonder how they're going to tie that into the story, but pretty cool. We'll see. Okay, 5 minutes left, and they're actually debating with me if I'm going to record while I'm grabbing figures. And the answer is no, I am not, because I want to be able to concentrate and focus. But as we're looking on Twitter right now, we saw that New York's Times Square is sold out of action figures at Toys R Us. So that's pretty serious, and I'm glad that we're actually here in the front of the line. So it's good. Tom, is the excitement getting to you?
Yeah, I'm getting a little antsy. Still trying to figure out what I'm going to grab first.
Look, but also while you're looking, someone might grab it from you.
Yeah.
What about you, Corey? A few minutes left. What do you think?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I hope I don't trip over the Wookiee. So that made my luck. I just sprawl out on the floor.
So we're gonna beeline for these action figures, and they may give us the green light here in a few moments. So we are pumped, we are ready, and excited to hear what everyone else is experiencing at Force Friday. All right, we are in the car here. And we just experienced Force Friday. We basically were in there for about shopping for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Corey, let's talk about our experiences. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was cool as far as standing in line. Got to talk to some fun folks, and actually met in our podcast was actually probably the highlight for me. It was a lot of fun to check those guys out. And then they released the rope there and let us get in, and they had two different displays. There's one display that was in their holiday section, and then they had one display that was towards like
action figures
section. Yep, the action figures section, and then so we started in the main holiday section, and they let us in, and I felt like we walked in, it was like if it was just set up differently, or I felt like we were kind of looking for stuff like where is the action figures and stuff. So the action figures were kind of in this little stand-up case, but they didn't have the 3-inch figures. which we expected 3 3/4 inch figures. And we did, and so I saw you were looking at something else. So I kind of ran down to the main toy section. And they did have the 3-inch figures there, but they're lacking a little bit on some of the characters.
There weren't a lot of pegs for it.
No,
I don't know what the
no.
stock was like.
Well, that's what I wondered too. I wonder if the stock was just they get what they get. And that's what one of the employees had said. They get so much, and they've got everything out, and they get more in the following Monday.
Yeah, for me, I ran in looking for the 3 3/4 inch. I didn't see them in the holiday display area, and I was rather disappointed because that was the main reason I went. But not to worry, I looked around. I looked at everything kind of cursory. Saw the 6-inch Black Series. Grabbed a Ray one with BB-8 for Tom. And then I started looking around. I thought, oh, they're going to be in the action figure aisle. So I ran down the action figure aisle. They were pretty well picked over. I really wanted Kylo Ren. Wanted to see Captain Phasma and Luke. Didn't see any of them, so that was disappointing. But it was a very cool, very interesting experience. The comedy came at the end when we were actually bringing stuff up. Before we get to that, what did you end up purchasing?
I ended up getting this 6-inch Black Series Kylo Ren. I don't have any 6-inch figures yet. The Black Series.
It's a good one to start with.
It's a great one to start with. I was looking for something Kylo Ren, and that was when I had settled on. I ended up getting also a Force Awakens coloring book, which I was like, this is kind of interesting because it came with 2 different posters. And I thought, well, I'll make it a little like this to kind of like color things in and whatnot.
What's the poster look like?
I didn't look at the posters yet, so I don't know what they look like. But it was, there was like kind of there were different things there. I had a limited amount of cash flow to kind of pick and choose. There was a nice little mug set, Force Awakens mug set that were like the, I don't know if you would call them like just like water glasses or something that were.
Yeah.
They've had those before, I think, in different episodic
like the
versions.
They're Pilsner glasses.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And so those was a nice little set. I thought about getting that. It was something interesting. They did have the Sabine Disney Affinity character, which I thought was pretty cool looking too. I ended up not getting her, but
I'm not used to her blue hair yet, but I also haven't seen her in action with the blue hair.
Right. She might have more of a veracity to her. But we are actually headed over to Walmart at this moment, and we're going to go run through there and check it out.
So I had that $100, spend $100, get $25 off, which is an incredible deal. So essentially, I got a great deal because what I went for, and I wasn't even considering, I knew I would look at vehicles, but I saw the unboxing of Poe Dameron's black X-Wing. It's orange and black, which are the school colors where I teach at. It was really on my radar, and it came with Poe. So I got that. And it was $50. So with that $25, I basically got the X-Wing for $25. And that's how I justified it to myself. So that was good. I got the 3 3/4 inch Finn and Rey and the First Order Stormtrooper, which is really, really cool. And now we're at Walmart. I'm hoping to find more of those figures. And then the fun began because you had to spend $100 to get the $25 off. But that meant pre-tax. I literally, Corey, had to run back to the aisles twice. Yes. I ran both times to try to get them. And I ended up getting a bunch of different micro machines. I also got the Hot Wheels Millennium Falcon. I got from the original movies. Got the Hot Wheels TIE Fighter. Then for the micro machines, I got the one with Kylo Ren's shuttle. And then the other one is Poe Dameron's X-Wing. So that set I don't have in front of me because I'm driving. I got 2 sets of pencils, a notebook, and a folder. So pretty cool. Like we're gonna all send out. We'll take pictures and tweet them out. But let's see what happens at Walmart.
Let's go do it.
Okay, we are out of Walmart. It was a very successful venture. For one thing, figures were $1 cheaper. Always a good thing. And we got a couple more 3 3/4 inch figures. I snagged Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren, which was very, very cool. And they had a lot of fun giveaways. They had some buttons and BB-8 coloring stuff and a catalog that showed that there is Star Wars coffee creamer. And I had to go find it, so I bought Boba Fett coffee creamer, which is so ironic because my wife, as listeners of the show for a while know, wasn't quite sure who he was, so I can't wait to show her that. What about you?
Yeah, likewise. We both were excited to see that there were employees still stacking toys out as we walked through about 1 in the morning now. It's about 1:30 now. So they were gracious enough to let us go through the aisles there and some of the setups and look through the stuff. We did have to walk around a spot that was getting waxed. The floor's getting waxed. It's getting roped off. We thought that maybe they were waxing the floor for Force Awakens, but that was not true. But I got Poe Dameron and also Captain Phasma, and there was so much to choose from there. Actually, more to choose from there than there was at Target.
There was a Resistance Order soldier that was interesting, but I didn't get it because you got, like you said, you got to pick and choose. And I also had the new TIE Fighter palette in my hands, and he was cool looking as well. Or maybe she, who knows. But I don't know. Like, I was trying to get the main ones. I really want to find Luke and Han and Chewie. And I haven't seen the list, if they're even in the first wave or not. But still very exciting, very interesting. It's kind of fun to do this when you're podcasting, too, because you've got different things you're thinking about instead of just grabbing figures. You get to talk about your findings, and you get to meet a lot of really cool people, too.
Well, I wanted to mention that, too. We met a friend of mine, Jay, who we ran into at the tail end of Target, and we traveled over to Walmart, and he was there as well. We were just kind of talking about our adventures this evening, and we're happy to be able to find some merchandise and then swap stories and such. And there were, honestly, I want to say also, too, to all the folks all the fans that were in line and shopping tonight, everybody was cordial. I didn't see anybody having problems. A lot of folks were very polite. Same with the employees of Target and of Walmart. They were all very polite.
They were all very cool.
Yeah, and our friend Jay, he ended up going up to Toys R Us. He even said there were some folks there from 501st dressed up, and they're ready to rock on the show over there. So I did pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, it was cool. I would have liked to have seen Mark and the guys at the 501st from the Midwest Garrison, but overall it was tremendously fun. A lot of nice people. Now that you know, living through Force Friday and a midnight release of new figures, what kind of advice would you give to people who are going to experience something like this in the future for the first time?
Let's see. Enjoy the experience. Get to know some folks in the crowd. Have a good time. Just go for, and this is the thing too, we talked about this earlier, that go for something that strikes you in the moment. For me, that was the 6-inch Kylo Ren. I'll remember that for as long as I, go through this experience of Star Wars and such. And
are you going to open him?
Oh boy, yeah, I'll probably open them.
Yeah. 6-inch, the Black Series 6-inch figures, you can put them back in the package fairly easily.
And they're sharp-looking figures. I got quite a few 6-inch Marvel characters, DC characters up on my office. I'd like to add Kylo Ren to the collection there, and I do want to pick up maybe some others down the road, maybe closer towards the release. But I'm like you. I need to pick and choose because there's probably a second wave coming out. With Han Solo and Luke, and I definitely want to get those, and Leia, and who knows what. We did see some new characters we hadn't seen before tonight.
Yeah.
I couldn't even place them.
There was one guy that looked like Embo.
Yes.
From Clone Wars, but it wasn't Embo, because there was some misleading stuff. There was Luke from Bespin, there was Darth Vader, and then there was Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, okay, we've already got those figures, so it's hard to tell. So I saw it then, and I thought, is that Embo? But it's not. I can't even think of his name right now. Of course, in 6 months, he's going to be like a common household name for you and me.
That's true. I did notice there was a little boy there. Might have been maybe 7 or 8 years old. He did see the Boba Fett image, and he made the comment. And he said, "Hey, Boba Fett lives. He's right here. It means he's going to be in the new movie." And nobody really has said anything.
I didn't want to crush his dreams.
No, I don't. Who knows?
Maybe he will be.
Maybe he will. We don't know. We have no idea.
I doubt it, but it's hard to say.
I doubt it, but you never know. And I would hope that every kid can have their dreams fulfilled through this movie and enjoy it. And hopefully he can go home with some good memories tonight. He was up with his folks pretty late, so it was a pretty fun experience for him.
And think about this. In less than 4 hours, you and I have to get up and work.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
It was worth it, though.
It was worth it. We had a good time. We met some fun friends and made new friends, and we tried out Periscope for the first time. If you folks haven't checked that out, we got some videos probably popping up. We'll post those.
And we apologize. At first, we were treating it like it was a TV show, and we were videoing it because we're dorks, and we know what's going on, but everyone was kind enough to give us advice. Yeah, and they told us, people are sending you comments, you should answer them. And then when we figured that out, it was better.
Yeah. We appreciate all the folks on there, checking us out on there. We'll hopefully do more like that in the future.
Yeah. Maybe we can review like different figures, and of course, as we get closer to The Force Awakens, and we have some exciting stuff coming from that in the local area as well for us to broadcast, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. As always, when it comes to Star Wars, and you and I, we hardly ever get to hang out, and then when we do, it leads to us being sleep deprived. Have you noticed that?
This is true. Very true.
Yeah. Interesting. So, we're looking forward to seeing everybody else's swag and gets and all the fun things and their experiences. So, send us your thoughts, emails, MP3s, tweet us some pictures. We've got our stuff on Pinterest now. And, of course, check out the Topps Digital Trading Card app because they have 8 Force Awakens cards that are out now. Personally, I grab Finn and Poe. That's it so far.
Yeah, I have yet to get one, so hopefully in the next couple days here, as long as they're still available, and we probably hopefully picking up a couple of those.
Yeah. So until next time, it's Dan and Corey from Coffee with Kenobi.
See you later.
Returning to Coffee with Kenobi is President and CEO of Rancho Obi-Wan, Steve Sansweet. We had to have the ultimate collector on to share his Force Friday experiences, discuss some early favorites, and find out more about the Rancho Obi-Wan fundraiser, Galloween. Welcome back, Steve.
Thank you, Dan, and hello, Jeff. It's good to talk to you both.
Yes, it's great to have you back, and no doubt, we can't see you, of course, but no doubt you're enjoying your Coffee with Kenobi coffee mug as we're having this discussion.
Well, I would be if I knew exactly where it was. You see, things come in here all the time. I love the mug. I really do. I've even had some drinks out of it.
Hey.
But we've sort of packed it away because the place is sort of overwhelming. And this is even before the beginning of the Force Awakens onslaught. And so, but I do have some good news. We finally have a solution, or the beginnings of a solution. We've just rented a 3,500 square foot warehouse in downtown Petaluma, whose address I will not reveal under even torture. And we're going to start moving things that have been boxed up sometimes for a decade or more, and actually be able to have an area to sort them and to continue with the cataloging and the inventorying, which we haven't really done for the last 4 or 5 years because we've been so busy working on building Rancho Obi-Wan and, getting the nonprofit status and all the things that have been happening. And I'll tell you in a minute, this year has been just incredible. But so starting in November, we're going to have a big move of a lot of stuff that's in sort of semi-storage, but not protected enough for the predicted El Nino, and then really spend a couple of days a week going through that, inventorying it, knowing what stuff, where it is, and so everything will be carefully cataloged. And so when we want to change things out on the shelves, it's going to be a lot easier. So and we will find the mug, and I will keep it close to my heart and fill it with Starbucks coffee.
Perfect.
I have this image of the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark now. So I assume you have top men working on this.
I will tell you, our on-site warehouse looks like the scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's somewhat smaller, only 900 square feet, but filled with both dupes from the collection that we use. We have an eBay store, and we use it to raise money for Rancho, and then there are things back there from the collection. We just haven't had any space, and then all of the back nooks and crannies of the museum are filled. So this was a necessary next step, and we've got many next steps on the potential horizon, and it's just a matter of having the time and the energy and sometimes the money to do things.
Right, absolutely. Well, see, basically we all have similar problems with our collection, but yours is the capstone. Yours is the ideal. So it's great to know that you've got things coming that are going to help evolve Rancho Obi-Wan even more and add to the excitement that is there. And speaking of excitement and collections, how can we not talk about Force Friday? An amazing, exciting experience. And you, of course, did it up right, enjoying the event in Times Square. I'm curious to know what the experience was like for you, both as a presenter and also as a collector, knowing you had to get out there and grab some figures off the pegs, too.
Well, actually, I didn't. I watched, and this is not the first time that this has happened.
Whoa.
I feel... Okay, so I'll tell you all about the whole experience, but to answer the immediate question, here I am. I'm already inside because I've just done a panel with Jeff Carlisle, the wonderful Star Wars artist and good friend. And so we're there, with some of the VIPs, and we're watching stormtroopers twerk, which was quite interesting. and they were twerking to music, and I'm sure certain people at certain companies didn't know that was about to happen, but it was all in fun, and the people who were lined up really enjoyed it. And, I think I get this from my career as a journalist, and, taking part in something that you have a privileged access to. And I wanted the people who had been waiting in line. I think the first person I talked to had been waiting in line since for about 6 hours. And these are the folks who deserve to have first crack at this stuff. And I knew, look, eventually I will be able to buy all this stuff, but there was only one thing that was on my agenda, and I didn't even think Toys R Us carried it. Little did I know that they have a separate department that's sort of like all of these puzzle toys and electronic things. And I see this from the third floor where I was waiting, and I looked down, and I see a little Sphero BB-8 moving around. They were testing it out, and I thought, hot damn. and so I sent some minions, friends, over to get in line there, and they had a bunch. They did sell out that night, but they had a bunch, and it was in a totally different area than the toy store. So I waited there, and I watched people go into the area, and I looked around a little, but I let everybody else get first crack at that stuff. And I had my Sphero, and I was very, very pleased. So and it was great seeing all the stuff on the shelf. It's going to be difficult to be in that situation again, because stuff was flying out of there left and right. The action figures, the 6-inch figures, the vehicles. It was a madhouse. The Funko pieces, just some very, very creative kinds of stuff. And I was trying to keep spoiler free on the toys too. So it was really my first look at a lot of the new stuff, and it got me very excited. I still am trying to make that final decision. I mean, I don't have the kind of money I had when I worked at the Wall Street Journal or Lucasfilm. I've told you that we're out of space. And so I'm trying to be, I won't say I'm being, but I'm trying to be fairly selective. And so far, my purchases for the next movie have been extraordinarily limited. And although I know I have a standing order with my good friends at Entertainment Earth, so
yes,
I buy one of all of the Hasbro product that comes out. So that will be coming here. I buy one of every Lego piece because I love the Lego stuff and what they do. And then, I mean, I like so much. That's the problem. But what I'm concentrating on now, and really most of it isn't The Force Awakens, but classic stuff, is items that are going to be there and then gone very quickly. And that's the stuff that's in the supermarket aisles, the food products, the Campbell's soup cans with 5 different labels, the SpaghettiOs with 2 different labels,
the Band-Aids,
with the 4 different tin boxes, and the new vitamins with the heads on the top that Target has, and then grapes. Star Wars Yoda grapes. I mean, I'm not keeping the grapes, just the packaging. Right. So, and that was preceded by Darth Vader apples. And so it's just like
life is good.
God. Oh well, life is challenging, but
yes, it is.
I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that to me shows the depth and the breadth of the Star Wars phenomenon. That it's something that even people of whatever age who aren't into Star Wars, or who some even have never seen a Star Wars movie, it's all around them. It's somebody described a phenomenon like that.
Well,
it surrounds you. It
penetrates you. It penetrates your wallet.
It penetrates your wallet and your stomach. And so but that stuff, and I have people who help me find things like that in the UK. My friend Matt Booker, I force him to eat all kinds of disgusting yogurt. No, I'm sure it's not disgusting. And my friend Jason Neurath in Omaha, on the outskirts of Omaha. I mean, I went to Omaha I was invited as a guest from the Garrison, and had a wonderful time at the banquet, their annual banquet. And so the plane was delayed, and we got in 11 p.m. or something. And what's the first thing we did? Go home after that long? No, we went to an all-night Walmart, and I found some cookie boxes that I didn't have, and that got me excited. And Jason has found a whole bunch of the soups and SpaghettiOs and coffee creamers, and
Yes.
It's cool stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
Isn't it great? I was trying to explain to my wife, I said, when I walked into Target, and I knew you were, of course, doing your thing at Times Square, and I think 5 minutes after midnight, there were updates all over Twitter. Times Square is sold out of action figures. And I said, Deanna, this is just so exciting. This reminds me of, 1995 and 96 and Power of the Force. And then Phantom Menace comes out. And Episode 3, Star Wars stuff was ubiquitous in every grocery aisle. And now it's even more, but there's almost like a new excitement that's going on, because as much as I love the classic characters, seeing these new characters that we already feel like we can identify with, and seeing Kylo Ren's face and BB-8 plastered everywhere, it just gets you excited. It's just great to keep reliving these awesome moments, but in new, incredible, imaginative ways.
It does, and one of the things we have to remember is that Star Wars was really responsible for starting or kickstarting the whole licensed toys for movies business. I mean, back in the 30s, Mickey Mouse was like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. Sure, there were toys like that, but we're talking about toys related to a specific movie. And there had been some attempts before Star Wars, and certainly TV shows were successful in marketing toys like Star Trek. But for movies, never really a success until Star Wars came along. And then it was supply chasing demand, because as we know, the first action figures weren't shipped until February of 1978. And those were for people who had sent away their coupons and got their 4-packs. And then it was still another month or two before the carded figures appeared in the stores. And so the merchandise has always been a key part of Star Wars. And it was always, for the first 3 movies, of course, it was event-driven. And it would taper off each year after that until the next movie. And then by 1986, that was sort of, Star Wars went away until it came back in 94, and then specifically in 95 with the action figures. So whereas that whole period. And that's the point where, with the special editions and with the prequels coming up, Lucasfilm Licensing specifically went out to sort of reorient Star Wars and to make it an evergreen product. So, even without a big event, even without a new movie coming out, Star Wars would always be on the shelves to a greater or lesser extent. And make Star Wars a brand. It seems obvious now, but make it a brand like Barbies and Hot Wheels and G.I. Joe and things of that nature, that are evergreen toys and have been around for a long time. And that's what Star Wars certainly has become. But now we have even more excitement with the announcement of 6 movies in 6 years, and who knows what after that, and a really strong and wonderful TV show, Rebels, on the air, and new video games coming out. So it's just not possible to ignore Star Wars, and I think we're going to see a lot more internationally with Disney's muscle, and the very big difference of Lucasfilm had always decided as a small company that it would have licensing agents in regions across the world. Well, these licensing agents might represent 200 or 300 other brands. And so whatever was hot then, that's what they would go after. And Disney has a well-established presence all over the world with its own offices and marketing and ties to vendors and retailers. And they have the Disney brands. They have Pixar. They have Marvel. And now they've added Star Wars to that. And so you're going to see this humongous presence overseas that we've never seen before. So, Star Wars is very much with us. And I know we are all very excited about the next movie because that's where all the excitement really comes from. And from what I've seen, and I know nothing beyond what you guys know, I've tried to stay spoiler free. I am so anticipating The Force Awakens, and I just can't wait.
Absolutely, same here. You mentioned going back to Force Friday releases. You mentioned the soup cans and the cereal and the Star Wars grapes. What were some of your early favorites of the merchandise that we did see released on Force Friday?
Okay, well, so the one thing I bought, as I told you, was the Sphero BB-8, which I still, things have been so busy, I must admit that I have not yet unpacked it and started playing with it.
You don't deserve a Sphero, sir.
I know. Rub it in. I'm being honest with you guys. And the other piece I want to get as soon as possible is Spin Master's Legendary Yoda. And that thing excites me, and I had a chance to play with it on display at Toys R Us. It's, it's all the phrases it says, but the lightsaber battle, the force push. I mean, all these. I mean, that to me is the epitome of how you use technology to make a fun toy. And that's another, it's another higher end piece like the BB-8. But those are cool. I really love the 6-inch figures from Hasbro, and at the Disney store, I was surprised and really like the die-cast figures. They just have a certain heft to them, and they look great. And I've been very impressed with a lot of the stuff that the Disney store has come up with. And from the beginning, I mean, somebody asked me, I guess it was a Washington Post interview, and they were focusing on the Disney stores. And I said, I could tell there were a bunch of us that were invited before the first Star Wars product arrived in the Disney stores a year or so ago. And they said, well, what was the aha moment to you? And I said, it's when they brought out the coffee mugs. Now, licensees have done coffee mugs for Star Wars from time immemorial. The first three were amazing. The sculpted Obi-Wan, Chewbacca, and Darth Vader from 1977. But most coffee mugs just have, style guide art. They're all exactly the same shape, different colors, different art. These are all sculpted differently. C-3PO is narrow and tall. R2-D2 is wider and squat. And they all have, three-dimensional aspects to them. Yoda's ears are the handle of the coffee mug for Yoda. And I said, this tells me these guys got it, and they're having fun with it, and they're willing to devote extra resources into carrying out something that is different. And they want to be different, and they want to be one of the destinations for Star Wars product. And I think they've succeeded. Then you see that all of the stores are having some exclusives. So there were Toys R Us and Target and Walmart and a lot of the online retailers had exclusives. So that's certainly going to continue. And as much as I always used to argue against that. It's like knocking your head against the wall and saying, why does Topps need 55 different chase sets for and honest to God, that was the number for one of the recent series. There were, some of them were one of ones, but I love the top stuff. And so, and then I argue, those, the Japanese and their blind packs and Disney, and you have to buy extra.
Filmations.
Well, guess what? That's the way Topps cards were back in '77. That's the way baseball cards have always been. And so you reconcile yourself to that and say, gee, I wish it were a lot easier, but that's part of the fun.
It is. It is. And honestly, and one of my favorite things about you, and there are many things, is that I feel like, of course, a lot of people feel like they're kindred spirits with you, because when something new and exciting, especially when Force Friday comes out or the Disney stuff, the Rebel stuff, I have a couple of thoughts at the same time. I think, wow, this is amazing. I have to have it. 2, where in the heck am I going to put it? And 3, am I going to find oil in my backyard? So it's like, I know you understand exactly what I mean. And you mentioned coffee mugs, and of course we already given you a hard time about the coffee mugs. But have you seen the Hallmark coffee mugs?
Which ones?
The new ones for Force Friday.
No, I have not yet.
I've seen them online, and one of them is BB-8, and it says "Coffee keeps me rolling." And then there's been an awakening, and it has a picture of Kyle around the inside. It says "Coffee does that for me too." I'll send you a link. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, well, as I said, I still have lots of shopping ahead of me, so I've just been trying to build up the reservoirs of the gold bricks, and which are actually just regular bricks painted gold, and that they're not fooling anybody. So
we won't tell.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, or it's not a problem, but it's a reality of life. Whether you have room because you have a closet or your garage or a spare bedroom or 9,000 square feet of chicken barns, there's never enough room.
That's right.
You're always going to fill that. We haven't been able to park in the garage for 2 years. I mean, and I have 9,000 square feet, and there's a 900 square foot storage space, and so I'm looking forward to getting my parking space back when we start moving to the storage facility. But getting back to Force Friday, we were really excited to be asked by Toys R Us to put on a display of items from Rancho Obi-Wan. So Ann Newman, who's the general manager and vice president of Rancho Obi-Wan, and I really curated an exhibit to fill 26 glass cases that they had. And they did a great job. And they wanted things from the early years through, the more recent stuff. So we ended with some things from Rebels. But all kinds of things, from puzzles to action figures to 3-packs to the original double telescoping Luke. I mean, there were some of my collector friends who were there, and they looked in the cases and they went, "Oh, you sent that?" And I said, "Yeah, we want to share it, and we trust these guys." And they did a beautiful job. They put the Kenner double track on the outside of these glass cases on all 4 sides in like a silver metallic, and then they did 3-dimensional Star Wars logos that were on the top of each case, and then I had written descriptions, some of which were way too wordy, but they still ran fairly lengthy, and it described everything. And it was thrilling for me to just sort of step back and look at people looking at the things and taking photos and reading the captions and, understanding what this history of Star Wars merchandise has been and how important it's been to fandom and to keeping the excitement going. So I love doing that. I did a ton of interviews. Jeff Carlisle did a panel with kids learning how to draw, just using simple shapes and creating Yoda and Vader and things like that. I did a book signing and a meet and greet, and then we both did a Q&A on Periscope about 40 minutes before the opening. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and I thank the Toys R Us folks at headquarters for being such great hosts to me and to the collection.
Well, yeah, they were awesome. The pictures we saw were beautiful, and I've been to that Times Square. It's an amazing facility as it is, and there's just a lot of excitement, of course, permeating what's going on. And that brings me to Galloween. When I first saw the logo for Galloween, I thought it was absolutely genius.
Love it.
Got to get a T-shirt of that. So let's talk about Galloween. How can people sign up for that and be a part of this exciting event?
So Galloween is this year is the name for our annual fundraiser. It's really important that people understand that Rancho is a nonprofit. that none of the money that we raise goes to buying the toys. That's all my idiocy. No, not idiocy. That's all me. And I lease the collection to Rancho Obi-Wan for $0 a year and the building. And so the money we raise goes for professional services and upkeep and security and utilities, because the utility bills are huge, as you might expect when we have tours and events here. And so Galloween, because of when it is falling this year, is going to be a really exciting event. It starts at 4 p.m. and goes for 7 or 8 hours, and it's catered by our local caterer who also runs a restaurant downtown. Just wonderful food. It's for adults 21 and over, so beer and wine are served. And we have some really amazing entertainment this year, and Star Wars related. We have a guy named Pumpkin Geek, and you can look at his stuff on pumpkingeek.com. And luckily, he lives in the state capital of California, Sacramento, which is not too far from us. And Pumpkin Geek is going to be here, and he uses these I don't want to say phony pumpkins, but the kind you find in craft stores. So they keep. And he does the most amazing Star Wars designs on commission. And so we're going to have him do 10 pumpkins for us that will be part of our auction. And he is also going to show people how he does these things. He's going to actually do one pumpkin live here. I'm thrilled to have Don Post Jr. As a guest. And Don Post Jr. Don Post Studios was one of the very first Star Wars licensees. If you look in the comic books and pulp magazines in 1977, the first masks, just about the first items available for Star Wars were the Don Post masks of Darth Vader and Chewbacca and a Stormtrooper. And Don Post Studios had the license through 2000. And made an extraordinary number of masks and helmets. And thanks to Don himself, we've been friends for years. And through the goodness of the company that bought his company, if you follow that, and Lucasfilm, we have now ended up as the repository for a lot of the original molds.
Oh, that's awesome.
That were used to make the masks. And so we're going to reveal them for the first time along with some of the masks. And Don's going to talk a little about, the process and what it was like back in the day and how difficult it was to get, stuff in order to make these things. And Don's a great guy and a great storyteller. And then we're going to have Madame Eileen, and Madame Eileen is actually our bookkeeper too. But she also is she's very spiritual, and she does. And it's not tarot, I'm told. It's tarot. So we don't have actually any tarot cards, but we have what we're calling our Rancho Obi-Wan Force cards, and so people will be able to get their fortune told from a certain point of view and keep our special Rancho Obi-Wan Force cards deck. And so we have all of that. We've got a live auction. We've got artists who are sending some great pieces. We have some licensees sending some great pieces. So we have a silent auction and a live auction that I do, which is great fun. And it's just a wonderful chance for fans to get together and have a great time. And you can come to Galloween up until the 20th of this month. There's a discount. You need to be a member. Membership costs $40 a year. So one party needs to be a member. And with that, you remember the fan club? You used to get a membership kit every year. Well, we still do that. And we send out printed holiday cards and things that Lucasfilm doesn't quite do anymore. We have a special patch and a pin and all that good stuff. And then the price of Galloween is normally $250 a ticket, and that covers everything. And also transportation, we arrange. We can't park here, but we have a van that comes and picks people up from where they are. And there's free parking, plenty of free lots, and we give people all the details when they sign up. And up until the 20th of this month, it's discounted to $200 a ticket. Now, it may sound like a lot of money, but it's a lot of entertainment, and there are all kinds of incredible things here to look at and see. And you get the run of the museum. So unlike a guided tour where you're sort of being led by me for maybe 3 hours, you get 7 hours to just sort of roam and look at things and examine things a lot closer. And so you get the full experience of Rancho Obi-Wan, even going into the stacks and seeing things. Yeah, so
it sounds like heaven, honestly. And I was just talking to Concetta the other day, and I said, I don't think I can make it this year, but next year it's got to be a destination for us because it just sounds wonderful. I mean, not only are you get the full run of the museum and get to interact with you and all the other great Star Wars fans out there, but it's for an amazing cause too, to continue to perpetuate this glorious place that is Rancho Obi-Wan.
Well, we certainly hope and have plans to keep going for a long, long time. We're sort of starting the project to clone me, and or do a Max Headroom type things.
Sure, that'd be good.
If your listeners remember Max Headroom,
yes,
and or just a hologramic Steve would work. So
with Kung Fu grip.
Kung Fu grip, indeed, and that's so you can't grab my missile firing Boba Fett because I got my Kung Fu grip on it. But yeah, so that's the big event. I mean, 2 weeks before that, we're doing a wedding here. It'll be our second Rancho wedding. I do the actual ceremony. We marry people across the street at the Lavender Bee Honey Farm, which has a beautiful view of the valley and the smell of lavender all around. Guaranteed no bees will bite you. And then we do the reception and dinner here at Rancho Obi-Wan. And in November, we're having a party for our friend Shane Turgeon, who has written The Force and the Flesh, wonderful books on Star Wars tattoo art. And that's going to be exciting. This year, we did a May the 4th event at the local brewery, and that attracted 300 people and lots of kids. And we're going to do that again next year. And it's just been, we've also, all of a sudden, it's Rancho Obi-Wan and Rentals Inc. because we actually have rented items for 2 different TV commercials. And neither of them have aired yet. In fact, one is being shot now or just was shot. And one of them, Anne, went down to L.A. and basically set up a collector's room. And the other one is takes place at different time periods in the past and the present. And so we sort of had to curate that based on, the what age the actors were and what year it was at that time and try to make that as realistic as possible with what was available. So if you don't think that was a lot of work, holy cow. And thought, yes, do you have a 1982 shirt in size? Oh, my goodness. It was
probably.
A challenge. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, yes, but then comes, can you find it? So
possibly.
We probably have 5,000 shirts or more, and I think there's a book in that somewhere sometime.
Oh, yeah.
So because there's some pretty amazing stuff, some great stuff.
You got to get like a dry cleaner situation.
That's
going on
exactly what I was thinking.
Oh yeah. No, they're all neatly packed away. It's just getting to them and taking pictures and knowing what we have. So there's a lot to do here, and we're having fun doing it, and it's always a challenge, but it's the best challenge in the world, and it's Star Wars.
Amen to that.
Yeah. How more exciting could it be?
And it sounds like you've got your work cut out for you, so we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us this evening about Force Friday. Where can people reach out to you if they want to ask you a question or just say hello and tell you how jealous they are of your collection?
Well, they can go to the ranchoobiwan.org website. And that'll answer all your questions about membership, about Force Friday. Well, yeah, actually, I wrote something about Force Friday, but also about Halloween and how to get tickets. You buy them online. and a Rancho Obi-Wan Facebook page where we try to update things, and we're going to be doing a lot more updating as some cool stuff arrives. So I think we're going to have fun with that too.
Most certainly. So everyone, if you have a chance and you've got some free time, please take a good look at Halloween. I know that a lot of our listeners, like Dennis Keithley and Marcus Doring, are already got their tickets and are going to be there. And I am I'm a lifetime member of Rancho Obi-Wan. In fact, it just renewed in August. So I saw in my email the other day that I've got something coming my way. So I'm excited about that. And it's always wonderful and exciting to talk with you, Steve. Thank you so much again for being a guest on Coffee with Kenobi.
Thank you, guys. Anytime at all.
Dewey, get us out of here!
If you would like to respond to our question of the show, have a comment, or just want to say hello, send us an email or MP3 at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or if you have a specific question or comment for either of us individually, email us at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com or CoreyC@coffeewithkenobi.com, or visit us at coffeewithkenobi.com and click on the Contact Us section, or comment on one of the stories featured on the site. If you enjoy the show, please write a review in iTunes or Stitcher. You can also like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, as well as keep up to date at our Twitter feed at Coffee with Kenobi. You can also find us on Tumblr at coffeewithkenobi.tumblr.com. If you enjoy the jazz music, the album is Eye to Eye by Steve Toro.
Give the evacuation code signal.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.